All right, guys, I'll say that we had 2 people reach out to me saying that they wanted this video. So, of course, we are going to make it. If y'all want any fantasy baseball videos made from me, please go down to the comment section and let me hear it. Just let me hear what you want me to talk about, and I will put the disclaimer out there. While I love fantasy sports, I say this every video. I just eat, breathe, and sleep fantasy sports. I love Major League Baseball. Fantasy baseball is something that I don't want to call myself an expert in. I am not a quote-unquote analyst, or by any means I can't come up with my own projections, but we can have fun with it. We can come out here and we can look at other projections and apply game theory to it and try to make sure that we are optimizing our rosters during our fantasy baseball drafts. So what we are going to be doing in this video is we are going to be using Fantasy Pros baseball projections. This is not an ad. I'm not getting paid. Literally haven't even talked to them about this. Just wanting to be completely transparent where I'm getting these numbers from. We're going to be using their projections, and we are going to be looking at the guys that are projected to steal the most bases in 2021. What we think about this projection, just looking over the past few years in their career, and talk about where they're currently being drafted in fantasy baseball drafts. Because we know that in fantasy baseball, based on how Michael explained it to us, steals are the hardest thing to come by. And yes, some teams are going to be punting them. But some teams maybe want to go out there and take 1 or 2 players that can lock up the category for them over the course of the season. So yeah, let's make that video for them. And of course, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And our first player that we are going to be talking about is going to end up being Adalberto Mondesi, who right now is being drafted at the end of the 2nd round. And this is completely because of his stolen bases. I will say that really, you look across the board, he's not providing you much else. I mean, the slugging, not going to be great. The average is projected to be down there at 254. The on-base percentage is projected to be under 300. But right now, he is projected to steal 51 bags in 2021. And I know a lot of people hear this projection and go, oh my gosh, that is aggressive. Are we sure that we can say that is valid? And that was my first thought at the same time, until we went out there and looked over the past 2 seasons. And I know we are not going to have full samples here, especially for 2020. We know that how hard it's going to be to try to use anything from 2020, including stolen bases, in talking about 2021 projections. But if we go to 2019 with Mondesi, I mean, he played 102 games and he was able to steal 43 bases. And if you just prorate this over a 162 game season, that's 68 stolen bags. I mean, that is unheard of. That is straight up ridiculous. And no, we are not going to be expecting 68. But you go, okay, maybe there's something legitimate behind this 51 number that Fantasy Pros is currently projecting. And then you go to 2020, just because it's this next best thing we have. I know it's a small sample. He only played 59 games, but in those 59 games, he was able to steal 24 bags. Then you go through and you go, what would that look like in a 162 game season? That's up to 66 stolen bases. So we have 2 years. Pretty much, if you add both of these seasons together, you then have a full year of data. And if you do that, then you go, oh crap. I mean, he is going to be seeing 60 bases stolen if he plays the entire season. And there's really nothing to say against that. And obviously, you can't project a player to play 162 games, and that's why Fantasy Pros has him down here at 51. But at the end of the 2nd round, if you're playing in a traditional Roto 5x5 format, I mean, pretty much if you're making the investment into Mondesi, you're telling yourself, hey, I'm not getting a well-rounded player here. I'm not getting someone that is great in every single category. But with this 1 draft pick, with this 2nd round pick, I am going to guarantee myself almost a win with the stolen bases category every single week. So it's just up to the opportunity cost. What do you think it is worth? Please let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know if you think that late 2nd, early 3rd round pick is just a little bit too much for stolen bases. I'll say that what a dream scenario would be is if you got Mike Trout in the 1st round. We know Mike Trout isn't going to be racking up a ton of stolen bases. And then maybe in the early 3rd, then you have Mondesi falling to you, and you can take Mondesi there. You can kind of balance it out with the slugging, with the average between Trout and Mondesi, and then you go, you know what? It doesn't matter that Trout isn't going to be stealing bases because we have that category on lock already. Okay, so now let's go to someone who's a little bit higher than this. this is going to be Trey Turner, who's currently being drafted in the mid to late first round at an ADP of 8 overall. And Trey Turner is one of those just all-around players, and this is why Aaron came on the channel about a month ago and was talking about Trey Turner being his #1 draft day target. And right now, by Fantasy Pros, he's projected to have 294 for his batting average, 348 for his on-base percentage, and a 492 slugging. Then you go, oh crap, I mean, what would the stolen bases look like? Stolen bases there, 33 stolen bases for 2021 to go along with all these fantastic statistics next to it. And then you go, okay, let's see if this number holds up. Let's see if 33 stolen bags is a little bit too aggressive. And you look at his year in 2016, which, yes, it was not a full sample, but still it's something to look at, where he played 73 games and had 33 stolen bags. And if you go through and you just say, what would that look like in a 162-game season? That's 73. And if you go to 2017, played 98 games, stole 46 bags over a full year, that's 76. So you combine those 2 years, you go, oh crap, okay, is Trey Turner stealing 70 bags every single year? But since then, it's fallen off. I don't know if this is due to Trey Turner maybe getting a little bit slower with age. Maybe it's due to them just being a little less aggressive on the base path. But in 2018, he played that full season. He played 162 games, and he was able to steal 43 bags. And then in 2019, if we just go through and look at what would have been with 162, it would have been 46. And in 2020, with the small sample, it would have been 33. So here we go. Okay, let's look at the large samples. Let's look at 2018, 2019. Those are the most recent years. Those are years where he played a significant amount of games. And it looks like Trey Turner, if he is going to be able to play close to that 162 game mark, we should be expecting high 30s, low 40s for his stolen bases. And to go along with all the other fantastic statistics he's going to be providing you, I think that he is perfectly fine to be your first pick in your fantasy baseball draft. Okay, so now let's go, and I'll give a quick shout out right now to Ronald Acuna. I don't want to talk about him too much just because he's going first overall, so what is the decision point here? You don't have to really make one, but he's projected to see 29 stolen bases. And along with that, 541 for his slugging, 369 for his on-base percentage, and 281 for his average. So yeah, I mean, very simple. Just a player that checks every single box, a player that's going to be giving you everything that you'd want. Nothing to talk about there, but something that's a lot more interesting to talk about is actually going to be Myles Straw down there at an ADP in the 300s. Some drafts, he's not even being drafted. And right now, Fantasy Pros has him projected to see 28 stolen bases, which is about the 4th most in Major League Baseball. And to go along with this, the reason why he is not going to be drafted highly at all, and he's just going to be maybe your last pick in your draft if you decide to go that route, is he hits for like no power at all. I mean, he gets on base decently. I mean, 1, we know he's not going to be in a good lineup, but 2, he's going to get on base, according to Fantasy Pros, at a 325 clip. The slugging's only at 338, so clearly that is why he is not going higher in drafts. But he's projected to see 28 stolen bags, and this is also a little bit hard to put too much stock into this projection because you go through and you look at his past 2 years, and you go, okay, we don't have a full sample here. If you combine these 2 seasons, you have pretty much half a year, where in 2019, he played 56 games, in 2020, he played 33. So, I mean, you can't do anything. With Myles Straw, yeah, I mean, if they are able to get him on base, maybe they use him as a pitch runner, maybe that they just decide to get him more plate appearances. In that case, I think Myles Straw could vastly outproduce where he is being drafted. But we just don't know what he's going to look like in this lineup. And we know that even if he is getting the plate appearances, I mean, he's not going to be coming through with a ton of stats outside of that. All right, so now our last player that we are going to be talking about is someone that's an obvious guy to talk about, and this is going to be Trevor Story here. We're also going to keep this very short just because it's obvious. He's going at the end of the first, so if you miss out on Trey Turner, or maybe, just maybe, because right now he has an ADP of 12, so if your league decides to draft pitchers a little bit early, you could probably stack Trey Turner as a late first-round pick, and then Trevor Story as a second. And Trevor Story, another player just like Trey Turner that is great across the entire board. Right now, he's projected to see a 280 average, 341 on base percentage, and a 525 slugging. And he's right up there with a player like Myles Straw with 28 stolen bases projected. And if you go to 2020, the most recent example, I mean, he played 59 games, had 15 stolen bags. If you prorate this over a full year, it's 41. And I know, small sample, I understand. That's not what we're going to be expecting. But obviously, there's something behind this Fantasy Pros projection. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.